this.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Joy. Hi, everybody. Good to see everyone.
Like a bad SNL bit. Hi there. Hi.
I got two beautiful handmade greeting cards
Oh.
for Halloween. And Chris, I couldn't let this go. It's a beauty.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah, pumpkins.
Well, I'm trying.
And
Pumpkins, yeah.
a friend of my sister's friend at her housing development in Apple Valley sent this one and wondered if she could get it on our
Nice.
Zoom.
Very
meeting.
nice. Mhm.
It's don't you think so? It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's got everything a watercolor should have.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's something Joy might do.
I was thinking that.
Were you thinking that too? Yeah. So
Yep.
Susan, we're saying kudos. You did fantastic. And let me show you a little bio of Susan.
Very nice.
You can read it, right?
Yes.
Pico could read it for us.
Pardon me?
Pico could read it for us.
No, thanks. And then- okay. So thank you, Susan. We appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Susan.
Still a lot of stuff that's funny. Wow, Chris.
Chris
Ooh.
sent two things, this one and this one. And I'm going to tell you right off that I actually inserted this one here from a few months ago to show you that what I'm missing in these two new ones is your composition and some interest in the background. Can you see the difference between?
Well, I mean, I agree. I agree because definitely. Well, the two women were basically class assignments. And I just decided to put some collage work in them. I'm not a people and face kind of artist.
Now, you sent me two versions of this. One of them is more cut off. I'm not sure which one you wanted me to use. So I put them both. Was it this one was the last one you sent me on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My internet's unstable, guys.
Oh, well, I like the attitude you've got on her face. That's very nice. And
I like both of them. I think they're really cool. Yeah, Chris, I know you don't do figurative stuff, but I really like both of them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is a collage then, and you did
Well,
add
thank you.
you
I
did
did put a
add
couple-
something on here?
Yeah, both of them.
Oh,
Yep, both of them are collages. That big, the stripe piece,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's a collage. That's collaged on
It looks like a piece of
that
material.
one. Yeah.
Okay, very clever, very nice.
It looks like a
No,
piece of
It
fabric.
was from a magazine.
Oh, Nancy, you're here.
Yeah,
Pretty.
it's
Hi,
from a
Zach, yeah.
magazine.
Oh,
Oh, I
Nancy
see.
snuck
It's a
in.
magazine. Okay, great idea.
And then did you
The other
Just
one
go.
too.
put a glaze over that to make it to darken?
No, I just
No.
stuck pieces on there from a magazine.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
love
I'll
this
tell you
one.
why I'm doing that, because I can't draw hands. I can't draw hands, feet, or limbs. I can't draw them. So for me, it's kind of like camouflaging what I can't do and just giving a hint of a body.
Well, guess
My
what?
hands always look like either plants or paws.
Well, guess why I do photography?
Because she can't do hands.
Because of what you just said.
Chris, you don't need
That's
hands or,
funny.
or feet on this or legs because you've got such a great attitude and a straightforward pose in the face. And the
Yeah.
composition is wonderful. And I love the
Oh.
color. Just the
Yeah.
subtle, washes in the background is enough because she really stands out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh, I didn't even know you were joining us, Nancy. Hi.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
I had 200 and some emails when I got home, and I'm like searching through it
Oh.
frantically to find Jones. So sorry I'm late.
Carol's there too.
Mhm.
We're
I see Carol.
missing
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Barry. But Nancy, here you are.
Yes, here I am. And
Hi,
when I was down
Nancy.
I was down in Florida for a month and helping my friend down there. She only had a storage area damage from the hurricane, but her place was on the second floor. And I continue to decorate it for her with paintings, and she loves my work. So she had a 1 foot by 3 foot wood panel that was hanging in her room, and it had, I think, some just some calligraphy on it, but it was wood and it had a nice crackled surface to it. So I went to Michael's down there and I gessoed it a couple times, but lightly, so I could still have that crackle come through. And then I used twine and palette knife primarily. It was kind of symbolic because most of the trees down there lost their foliage from the hurricane. It was either blown off or it came off with the intolerance to the salt water and the salt spray. So I wanted to I didn't want to make it a depressing picture though. So, there's a little hope of even the 4 weeks I was down there, by the time that time passed, most of the trees had started to sprout new green on the top. So, it was kind of hopeful. But I put that zoom detail in the bottom so you could see how I use combination of twine, netting, and just heavy applications of different paint and palette knife. It doesn't come through in the picture.
What's that red spot on the left one? I like that.
Oh, that's the red spot? Yeah.
Is that
Susan lost her husband 2 years ago, and he was a Chicago cop, and their house is in Chicago, and they have fir trees all around it, and there's cardinals. And so I said, every time you see a cardinal, that means symbolically that you're visited by a loved one. So I put that little kind of abstracted cardinal in there to remind her of her husband, Kenny. So she was appreciative of that.
Right.
And it works well against the
I
green
love
too.
this.
So
It's beautiful, Nancy.
Yeah, I think
Thank
it's
you.
awesome. I love the colors. The color palette is really nice,
Yeah.
really pretty.
Yeah.
And it must be fantastic if that's a close-up. That's a close-up of the piece on the left.
That's right.
Right.
Wow,
Yes.
must be unbelievable to see in person. I think that the picture
It's striking. I
doesn't
left
capture
it down there because she wanted to decorate her guest bedroom, which I slept in. And so she wanted to replace all the art in, and it's really lovely. If I would have shipped it home if I was and hanging it here, but she loved it and it was painted for her. So
Yeah. Very
thank
nice.
you.
Well, all I can say is you've taken giant steps.
Yes, I have.
This is really something here. These next two.
Right. In the same room, she's got sliding woven patio door curtains and with the patio out to a lanai, and she wanted to hang two 12 by 16 on either side of those patio doors in the same room as the trees picture that you just saw. So I wanted to keep the color palette somewhat the same, and she likes abstracts.
You
So
did this one too.
I just went crazy with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very, very nice.
There's a little window, there's a little wave, there's a little boat, there's a little abstracted flower. Again, I used netting from like fruit bags, the yellow and the brown and the green netting from those bags, cut it and pasted. So I did a lot of mixed media on that.
Oh,
If somebody use a finger on the left-hand side,
it's very rich.
I don't know, that's kind of waves or a lotus blossom in the bottom. I don't know. I'm kind of free with it.
nice.
Thank you.
Very.
Yeah.
And it all works together, even though they're little scattered pieces. You've got something going on in the background that brings them together. And it's very,
Mhm.
very rich.
Thank you.
And I also adore this one. That's great.
So that was on. So this is on the right-hand side of her window. It's a little more stark. I used Payne's gray and teal up there in the corner. I love those two colors, but kind of balanced it out again with some abstract, some netting, and just some, I want to say silliness, but I had a, and there's also iridescent copper in spots on the paint. You can't really make it out with this, but it kind of makes that reflect. So I had a lot of fun.
I know Thea, on one of her paintings, abstract paintings, she added a little bit of, gold foil, a little bit of gold foil, and just kind of
Yes.
pops it out.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yeah, and I recall that from seeing a lot of your pieces, Pico. And I thought, well, why not just, use it sparingly, but it does make it pop out, reflects the light in the room.
Yeah, I love the colors that you have in all these pieces. I love those. It's great. It's great.
Thank you. I'm learning from Chris. Limit your palette, so that's what I did.
I was just about to say, this is approaching a Chris Ames.
Yep. She's
You've almost,
my influencer.
yeah, so let's just say,
Oh, this is lovely.
Isn't it?
Beautiful.
it's
Nice.
Oh
long,
my
he
goodness.
did this long ago. I remember it, and it reminds me of a mosaic. Piece.
Peter Max.
Gorgeous.
Mhm.
I love Peter Max.
Oh, I see. Mhm. Yeah.
The trees are phenomenal.
Yes.
They look real, without detailing leaves. It's just that beautiful balance of the green area on top of the little strong limbs.
Yeah, I find that Barry's influence is from South Africa. It has that South
Yeah.
African influence, which is really nice.
Mhm.
Really nice.
I
Colors.
used to see that in all of his work, and I loved his work.
I wish he'd do more paintings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish I could imitate his voice, because I would imitate his voice right now and say something, but
Now, is Carol here yet?
Ooh.
yeah. Carol's here.
Ooh.
Hi, Joan.
I love that.
Wow.
Always so dramatic.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
It's funny
Wow.
because, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi,
Great.
Carol.
It's
Okay.
funny because the palette is anything but dramatic. This was also a class assignment, and it was a palette. Very, very muted. Alizarin crimson, 2 siennas, a raw sienna, burnt sienna.
The phthalo.
No.
Like a phthalo green, no?
Viridian, I think.
Hunters.
Oh,
Oh,
Viridian.
Viridian.
Use indigo?
That's
You
a
use
great
indigo?
palette.
And black.
Not
And,
indigo?
pardon me?
You didn't use indigo?
Indigo. Did you use indigo?
No, black. So again, it was a very odd palette. The black, the siennas, alizarin, the viridian.
color
and,
yellow is
then later we were told we could add a yellow, but
Wow.
I
Which
hadn't
yellow is that,
integrated it.
Carol?
That
Lemon.
is a lemon,
Lemon.
which
Cool.
looks really
Ah.
strong against these other very,
Very
very
nice.
muted colors. But it reminds me of I don't know, a time of fires, or in the summertime, sometimes the sky the ocean is very glossy, and there's a
Well-
lot of humidity, and there's just a lot of stuff in the air. And so that's what's happening in this sky.
What brand of acrylics did you use?
What brand of what?
Acrylic.
Acrylic.
Mostly golden, some Liquitex, but probably primarily golden.
I really like it, Carol. I think it's odd, because I knew right away, without even looking at the title, that it was like a sunset kind of a thing going on there. But it's amazing that you capture that with all of the stuff going on, and this is such a busy piece. But it's still, I recognize that it looked like the sky, and that's pretty cool.
I think
Very nice, Carol.
Thank you. I think the busyness of the strokes kind of offsets the very muted palette, because the palette, there's not a lot happening with the palette. Very muted.
Yeah, it's really
It's very
interesting.
strong, though. Very
Yeah.
strong.
Did you use a palette knife, Carol?
I'm trying to remember. This was a little while ago. And yes, absolutely, I used a palette knife at some points, and I'm trying to think if that's all I used. I certainly used it, and oh, you know what? I used on the background, you can still see some of the background. I used a little foam rubber brush So that provides very smooth finish. And then I went in with a palette knife on the upper layers.
Well, Carol, I like what everyone said, and just for me, what draws my eye too much, I think, if you don't mind my saying, is you see this pointy shape here? My eye just goes right to that, and in fact, when I put my finger in front of it to hide it, then I can see all the other great stuff you've got. It kind of just draws me right there, but just the way I see it is all.
It's
That's
like a sharp
interesting.
corner.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm putting my finger there too. And you're right. It does. I think your eye moves better without it there. That was just the mood I was in at the time. It's as someone asked, it was that knife. And yes, that was a knife. And I was just zipping with it. So yeah, very, very good point. Thank
I
you,
do
John.
look much better when I put my finger up. I think that helps my
Yeah.
screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you-
I would agree. Thank you, John.
But it's
I'm
beautiful
kidding.
though. I love the colors. Yeah. Nice work, Carol. Good to see you, by the way.
Likewise, Ben is about 70 to 75% functional now. So things are better.
Okay. Missed you.
What, this is a recent
Likewise.
class you took, Carol?
Yeah, in fact, it may have
Who's-
been earlier this semester.
Who's,
This
where are you
has been-
taking it? Who's the class? What's the class?
Sally Pierce's acrylic class on Fridays. And it's been an interesting semester because Ben is dealing with post-concussion syndrome. So when we were hiking, he walked into a tree. That was in the summer. And
Wow.
it takes a long time to
Yeah.
recover. So he is improving, and that leaves me more cycles. So that's the good news. Thank you all for your comments on the piece, and especially Joan on observing the little piece in the middle.
Well, I'm hoping I'm not the reason some people aren't coming back
I
to
agree.
see because of me saying things.
Well, I'd like to say something, and that is, if you hold back, we really do miss the real essence of a critique. It becomes then just whatever. And I kind of did that with Pico and Eileen when they saw a piece of mine at the gallery yesterday. And they were kind enough to tell me they didn't like it. So I said, okay, you come over and tell me what I would do differently to change that. And so we had a nice discussion about it, but that's really important to us artists, all of us, I think, is if we don't say what really, like Joan says most of the time, I mean, it really does help. I mean, you don't necessarily have to take the critique or think that Joan is actually right on point, but I think it does help us. It's certainly helped me over the years, different critique groups that I've been in. If the worst critique groups are the ones that don't say anything,
Yeah.
Okay.
and
I
everything
agree,
is
Scott.
wonderful and life is great. It's like,
Thanks.
okay.
Yeah. I think
Likewise.
that's the only way we grow.
And speaking of Scott, here's his waterfall, and here's the long journey.
Okay, keep this one up because the other shot, that is actually the same piece.
Yeah.
I've done two pieces with the same materials. In that I started with the blocks. So go back to the other one,
Okay.
please.
Sure.
So this is the way it ended up, and actually designed this piece to go in my house. I have one wall that doesn't have anything on it. And so this now is on that wall. And what I started out doing is I had two pieces of wood that I've used over the years to clean my brushes. And anybody that does house painting or any kind of painting, you got to get the paint off your brush. So the two boards that I had were already painted white from another project. I didn't use them, and so it had a nice white background. And then part of the board was rough sawn which is, you see kind of like the streaks going through some of the blocks. The top left block, you can see those streaks going through it. That's the rough sawn. So when I'm cleaning my brush, it did something, you know, put lines in whatever.
Right.
So anyway, so I heard another artist say that he had taken a couple of his abstract paintings and cut them into little squares, and then pasting the little squares onto another canvas, he's created this whatever. And that gave me the idea of taking these two boards, because they had a lot of really cool colors in them, and just cutting up the boards into little squares, 4x4 squares, and using that to put together, along with some other things like the balls that I'm famous for. And there's some just different stuff that I had to put an assemblage together of different pieces of wood and other things. So
Yeah.
that's what I did with this piece.
You know,
I-
Scott,
The fact that you said all these pieces have been created by different manners, the fact that they came together beautifully in this composition. And you probably maybe painted the yellow and the primary blue and little red accent to kind of bring the thing together. But it all looks intentionally designed that way. It's wonderful. I love the horizontal version too.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Scott.
Great.
Scott,
I'm not done yet.
Oh, by the way, go ahead. Okay.
I have books to show.
Okay. Oh,
Scott,
Just-
before you move on to books,
Okay.
I would love to see this in the vertical format, about 6 feet tall. And even in outdoor materials, it could be an outdoor installation. Yeah, really nice.
that's what I got.
Yeah, I don't blame you. No.
Joy has arrived.
Wow.
Wow.
This is your
Beautiful.
state of the art. This is your abstract combined with your gift for realism and your mastery of watercolor. It all came together in this one. You're there.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Actually, this is the watercolor class assignment, and Diane asked us to do the stripes, and then I just find the original from the photo, but it's totally different. I borrowed the cars and the building shape, and I exaggerate the stripes on the street, and I also add the other one, and the left one I think is too much, and I also add the flags.
Are you a
perspective
member
is
of the San Diego
fantastic.
Watercolor Society?
Thank you.
Yeah, you can see all the way down the street. I love the way it just diminishes into the center, and you can just the shadow of the buildings there. It's extraordinary, Joy.
Oh, thank you, Nancy.
Are you a member of the San Diego Watercolor Society?
I cannot hear.
Are you a
Are you-
member of the San Diego Watercolor Society?
No, she's not a member of the San Diego Watercolor.
No.
You should be.
AGNC, Art Group of North County, Zoom group. That's the most
Yes,
important
I
thing.
love this group.
That's the
Yeah,
best.
Joy, I have my 2 cents. Maybe I could have done with just one flag, but the beauty I see in this, where I think you really excelled, is the way you treated the edges of these buildings. The way this is where you brought in your abstract mixed it in with the realism. I love what you did around these traffic lights, the way you just took the liberty of just doing something unusual. In fact, Thea mentioned years ago that in order to really excel, you need to have a wow factor, WOW. And I think she would agree that this one here is it. And the way that you abstracted this building back here, and so it actually doesn't bother me that you got the stripes and all, because you offset it with all this blurry stuff over here. So amazing work. In my eyes, if I was the judge, you'd get a prize. And a award.
Absolutely. Bravo.
I have one criticism, not criticism, but the white part of the sidewalk, they should have the street, as you do the 1-point perspective, it's misleading because the ones in the middle are too fat and they're changing in sizes. And I would like to see them in a perspective point of view, as a 1 point perspective, so that it doesn't compete with the rest of it.
Okay.
I kind of like that though, because that's, to quote Joan, that's also part of a wow factor. It shows us, hey, this is not a photo.
Yeah,
There's an interpretation.
Not a photo.
So I kind of like that aspect.
yes, there will be a difference of opinion on it, but I think the white stripes Pico adds to the abstractness of the thing, that it's not photorealistic.
Mhm.
But anyway, we all see things in a different way, so that's
Mhm.
I have a comment.
yeah.
I think the only thing I don't like about it, Joy, is the flags. I don't like them so big. I think they're beautifully done, by the way.
That might be a good comment. Thank you,
But
Scott.
that is the only thing that it keeps taking my eye away from the real perspective of the painting, which is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there could have
Gorgeous.
been just one and it could have been smaller. You're right, Scott. Thank you. And then we're moving on to this one here, because
Yeah.
this is kind of a backward progress from this one, where it's more conventional. This is what Joy used to do 3 years ago, is, you know, especially the Carlsbad watercolor you did.
Mm. Mm.
This, which I bought. This reminds me of just, but it's still, the colors are really great in this.
Yeah,
Yep, and the people is just fantastic.
people are
Yeah,
fantastic.
the people, Joy, you have such talent.
The shop,
Thank
the
you.
whole bit. Oh,
Yeah, it's also an assignment, and the instructor asked us to paint figures in the dark and the bright.
Yeah.
And I took a picture and
Marvelous.
You are a genius. You're a genius at this kind of thing here. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And your
That guy
paper
with-
must be dry, right? To be able to paint those figures so precisely in watercolor. There's no, running off of the paint if it was wet. So I'm assuming your paper is dry when you do that, Joy?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
thank you, Joy.
Thank
And-
you.
you have to-
Now, this is what I spent all day Saturday looking at the La Quinta Art Festival, and I wanted to share with everyone some of the fantastic work. They used I think La Quinta built this park especially with the art venue in mind, because they used to do it once a year and they're starting to do it twice a year. And next year there's one in March, and then the one I saw was in November. So if you go to this website address and check it out, if you Google 2023 La Quinta Art Festival, you'll get the idea. But they're so high end. You ought to see the booths they provide for people. But anyway, here's what I learned. You see this water media? I learned that if I right-clicked, and if I right-clicked and said zoom in, take a look at this. I hope it works well. Look at this. When I click here, then you can see the stuff.
Mm.
Very good.
I'm supposed to be able to move this around. Oh, yeah. This is kind of like what you guys are doing, is the acrylic abstract. And mixed.
Such variety. It's beautiful. They're all Southern California artists, I'm assuming.
They're from 25 different states and around the world. There's some from out of the country.
Oh, good. So somebody from Illinois or Italy could submit.
Oh, yeah.
Good to know.
In fact, let's see. Here it says 185 artists from 32 states and 6 countries.
Okay.
It was a $20 admission to get into the park. And now, this was my only complaint, was that I had to pay $8 for a little can of beer. And they were selling, excuse me, they were selling mini donuts.
For $8 for a mini donut.
For a little
You
donut.
at a ball game?
My
Oh
two
my God.
my 2 fish tacos were $14, and I couldn't get the fish and chips because it was $18. So that's the only thing I complain about. But this is here. Let's see. Here's the ceramics. I thought Pico would be interested in, and Eileen.
Well, I'm familiar with that Doug Anderson.
I'm
The
sorry?
one on the left, the guy that Doug Anderson,
Uh-huh.
familiar with him. He has it's this chess set that he made, The Good and the Evil, whatever. They were in the Laguna Beach.
Mhm.
Absolutely fantastic pieces.
And let's see, when I come down more, this is going to be the 3D mixed media right here. And
Ooh.
I'm going to zoom through so that we don't get cut off before you see some of the other stuff. Let's see. And then I go here.
Oh, Gerald Caruso.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I think I have one of his works.
Ah,
Is he from Borrego Springs?
you know,
I bet he is. It looks
which
just
one
like
would,
the,
is it
it's
under
the-
up here or down here?
yep, top right-hand corner. It's a
Okay.
clock. He does clocks with
Oh, yeah.
these wonderful glass. Yeah,
Oh,
Did you
Gerald.
get it?
Caruso, uh-huh.
Did you get it in Sedona? Did you get it in Sedona?
got it in Borrego Springs.
Oh, because I got one something like that in Sedona.
Really?
Kind of like what Michael does.
And
Yes.
here's the photography, and let's see. And then there's glass and sculpture. And this woman here, Lisa Christine, she had people around her. Her influence is some African tribe, and she does all kinds of, I'm going to zoom in, but everything there is humongous. I mean, huge. Let's see. And then I'm going to go, let's see. And this is almost 5 feet tall or something like this, but this is photography. And here she is standing with one of her African tribe things, and very creative photography.
Yeah.
Here's glass, like what I think, Eileen, didn't you do stuff like this?
Yeah.
Glass?
This is one of Barry's works.
Uh-huh, yeah,
It looks similar to that.
yeah. And then look at this glass here. And now I have to show you the artist that I was looking into photography, and I bought one of his little pieces. You have to go to this website, you guys, youngbuckpark.com. It will blow you away.
Let me
OMG.
take a picture of that.
Well, you're going to get it in the video form when I send it out to you.
Oh, okay.
But this down here is just a little idea of his work. He has 3 different styles of work, and a lot of it is black and white.
Wow.
And this is huge. I mean, everything is as huge. It makes me look like